All right, welcome to week 3 for us for the punt. It's week 13 in the NFL. It's getting to the business end of proceedings really now. Bish, how are you doing after last week?
Yeah, it is. It's coming to the crunch. A bit disappointing, best bets wise. I think Wilson was a write off pretty much at half time. We knew that were going to be difficult, but I thought I was going to go 2-3, and the last quarter just snatched it away from me. We had the Bucks. I think a DB slipped, and that was a touchdown to be 17 all, and then they go on to lose in overtime. And Michael Carter sat on 2 receptions and picks up an ankle injury and don't come back in. So a bit devastating, not on 3. So it is, as it says there on the screen, it's redemption week here, and we're trying to get back in the winner's circle. What about yourself?
Yeah, obviously like you, pretty disappointed. One in 3. I think we were watching that last game, weren't we, Tampa Bay, and it was devastating when that cornerback slipped, and we were both watching. I think we were off air at that point, but we were edge of our seats. We're jumping. We should have probably found a way to get that on camera because we were. It was on, wasn't it? So it was good fun, but like you said, it's on the screen. Viewers watching, it's redemption week. We're both going for 3 out of 3. We've done hours and hours and hours of research to make sure we are nailing it this week. It's week 13 in the NFL. We'll start off with the first game that goes in the bookies. It's Tennessee Titans versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Tennessee plus 4.5, Philadelphia minus 4.5. And then the over-under on this game is 44. What's your thoughts, Bish?
It's a big game, isn't it? It's a big one. We've got Titans sitting at 7-4 and top of the AFC South, and then the Eagles just seem to be, just finding the groove, and the 10-1 and rushed for 363 yards last week against. I can't remember who it was against now. My mind's just gone blank. Against Green Bay Packers, sorry. So that's massive for them. Yeah. And the Titans, I'm just having a quick look. 3 out of their 4 losses have been fewer than 4 points. They were blown out pretty early on in the season by the Bills. So the winning games and when they're losing games, they're very tight games. So if I'm looking at anything, I'm looking at the Titans plus 4.5 there, which could be interesting. And they're pretty good at stopping the run. So although Philadelphia are running the ball pretty well, that's one of their strengths. The Titans secondary, they're a bit banged up.
Yeah.
The first round came off last week, Caleb Fairley, so he's out. And a sort of another dynamic to it is AJ Brown for the Eagles playing against his former team, the Titans. And there's been a bit being said. I think he wanted to stay, but Titans didn't want to pay him what he thought he deserved. So that's an interesting one there. So I'm probably staying away from this one. But if I was looking at something, I'd be looking at Titans plus 4.5 and maybe a little bit on AJ Brown anytime on it against his former team.
Like you said, it's the big talking point in this game, innit? AJ Brown, I think he's coming for redemption, Bish. I think I like it. I'm with you. I think it's got to be a touchdown for AJ Brown. I'm liking it. The more I think about it, you talked it there. He like you said, he was devastating. How good would Tennessee be if they still had AJ Brown? I know they didn't want to pay him, and it's a salary cap sport, as we know in rugby league. It does make a difference, and you've got to be fair. But how good would Tennessee be? They've been brilliant with the run, of course. Derrick Henry. Tannehill's been struggling. That's their weakest point. Tannehill's been struggling a little bit. If he had a guaranteed number 1 receiver like AJ Brown, I think they'd be scary. The 7-4 in the season, so I think that would be they would be one of my top teams to follow because I actually really like watching Tennessee. To go on what you said, Bish, Tennessee have actually allowed the league's least rushing touchdowns. So that's what Philadelphia are known for. So it's kind of a clash of what what Tennessee are the best at, what Philadelphia are the best at, the rush. Obviously, Tennessee amazing at stopping the rush. So let's see who wins that one. So I think Jalen Hurts gonna have to throw the ball, and that's why AJ Brown. I'm getting more confident, and I think Philadelphia also to match it up again. Philadelphia have the second-ranked pass defense. So that means Tannehill probably won't be used that much. It means the Derrick Henry show. And one of my bets for this game actually was Derrick Henry, and the prop for him is over 84.5 rushing yards on the game. I think he's going to get over that. I'm not super confident, so I'm not putting that in my top 3, Bish, but I'm mentioning it for viewers. It's a pricey one because it's redemption week. We're going for 3 out of 3. But if you want a spicy one to make it exciting as you're watching Red Zone, I think that'd be one for you over Derrick Henry over 84.5 rushing yards. And then, we'll move on to New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota -3, Jets +3, obviously, and the over-under is 44.5-ish. What's your thoughts on this one?
It's an interesting one. I think Mike White had a bit of a game last week, didn't he? He just came in gunslinging. I think threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and really destroyed the Bears. So that, and on the back of that, they've got a top 4 defense as well in terms of points conceded. I think they're averaging 17.8 points per game conceded, which is pretty good. The Vikings, on the other hand, they're going well. They've won 4 out of 5. They're looking good, but the defense is struggling a little bit. They're having to score a lot of points to win games. The defense is ranked last in passing yards against, and it's actually second to last in total yards allowed. So they're winning games, but they're winning them by big scores. And just to back that up, within the last 5, the score's been 33-26, 33-30, and 34-26. And then they got beat by 40 points to the Dallas Cowboys as well in that as well. So for me, this is one that I'm debating to throw in my best bets, just because is it a one-game wonder for Mike White? I'm not sure, but I'm liking the overs here, 44.5. I'm liking that one.
Yeah, I think I don't want to put it down to the Mike White game, but I think for me, especially judging the New York Jets, I've been high on them all year, and then obviously Zach Wilson's had a shocking end before Mike White's replaced him now. So can Mike White be that player? Hopefully he can. But I'm scared about this game, Bish, because I don't know how legit the New York Jets defense is compared to the Minnesota's offense. Who do you think is going to win that battle?
Yeah, they've got. It's a tough one. Like I said, on paper they have a top 4 defense, but Vikings, like I said, I think we said it last week when they came up against the Patriots. They have superstars. They've got the Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. Obviously, the only thing is Kirk Cousins. Is erring a little bit now and again with a pass, but Jets defense is good. They're going well. They're 6-4. It's for me. I'd say I'm on the other end. I just don't know if they'll score enough points to reach the overs, but I'm going to bank on Mike White throwing it around. He built up a bit of a chemistry. You've got Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, 2 great wide receivers who were a bit old under Zach Wilson. Made it known, and they've come out and seem to be happy last week. So hopefully they can continue that, and the points continue.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think. All right, I'm with you, Bish. Yeah, I think. I'll change my narrative on the game. Then let's let the offenses go. Let's see what they can. let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do. Because, like you said, if Mike White is legit, I think he's got. To be fair, even if he's not, like I said, he's probably got a chance against this Minnesota Vikings defense. Anyway, they're struggling. They're not. The Minnesota relying on all out attack. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, flying everywhere. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I get it. So come on, Mike White, all the best. I like him as well. He gave that wink, didn't he? The wink. Yeah. I thought I like that. So no, good one. Like I said, to be honest with you, Bish, I'm going to stay away from this one. I'll chuck on though that the over/under does seem a bit appetizing. for me at the 44.5. Like you said, if it's going to be all gung-ho. I think Minnesota will get the points over. Yeah, I'm with you, Bish. Actually, I've talked myself into it again. Classic, Joe. 44.5 overs. I'm with it. I think the Vikings' offense is too good, and I think the Jets will, like you said, will have to get some points, and I think Mike White will be able to against this poor defense. So I'm on the overs. Boom, got it. Next game, Bish. Two very. What we did last time, yeah. When I stole your last one, I had a So yeah, the next game, Bish. Two struggling teams. We've got the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. The Packers are favourites at -3.5. Obviously, Bears +3.5, and the over/under on this game is 44.5. Packers 4-8, Chicago Bears 3-9. Where are you at with this one, Bish?
Yeah, it's two poor teams, isn't it? Really, but it adds a bit of spice. It's a divisional game, and there's rivalry there, isn't there? There's Aaron Rodgers celebrating, saying "I own you" to the Bears fans last time out.
Yeah.
He has got a rib injury to add to his thumb injury, but I think the last thing I saw, he said he's playing this week. So again, last week they conceded 363 yards on the ground, and the Bears are actually number one rushing team in the league. You know what the score is. The philosophy is run the ball, run the ball. So the one line that we've not got out at the minute is David Montgomery, which is one that I probably learnt my lesson from last week, and I'd try and get on, but that's not out yet. Flip side on the Bears, Justin Fields. I think latest report is attempting to play. He's been fine in practice, but just from last week, they lost the number one wide receiver in Darnell Mooney, and they lost the number one cornerback in Eddie Jackson, both on IR, so they're done. So for me, just with a rivalry, I'm looking at Packers -3.5 here. I just think the history. They'll throw the ball. They played each other in week 2, I believe. I think it was week 2, and it was a pretty convincing win for the Packers. And just with that Aaron Rodgers comment, I own you. You know, I'm going to ride with him, and I think that could be up there for one of my bets is Packers -3.5.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, well, I didn't read that Fields was back until after I saw the line. I was like, that's just an insult to the Packers. Surely Fields is in, but reportedly a pretty bad injury to his shoulder. So is he going to run as effectively? Is he going to be willing to get tackled and smashed around as he normally is? I guess we'll see. I doubt he will be flying about the field because his shoulder's meant to be half off on the left-hand side. It's pretty bad. So will he want to worsen it? I don't know, which means he's throw. And if you've been a viewer of our show, you know I'm not a fan of Justin Fields throwing. So yeah, I think I'm with you, Bish. Bish, what do you think though? Because the Packers do have the 31st worst running defense in the league, which is pretty much one of the top 2-3 worst rushing defense in the league. It's been this way for a couple of seasons now. How effective is David Montgomery going to be?
I think he will be. Just looking back in the week 2 matchup, he ran for 122 yards, and as we said last week, Philadelphia Eagles run all over Packers. So I think it will be a case of that run. It's just if Fields is playing, how much does he eat into Montgomery? But I think it's a shame that line's not out because I'd like to have a look at it. If it was around 60, last week it was 68.5. The week before it was 66.5. So if it's around there, I think he still hits that. He hits the overs, but I just think, you know, where the Bears are out there, especially after last week, after that hiding at the Jets, I just think the Packers, Rodgers, he's got a bit of a point to prove. Jordan Love came in the game last week and, you know, went down the field and scored a touchdown. So I think he's still got a bit of a point to prove there, and I think he'll just be too strong.
Yeah, I don't. It's not only our redemption week. I think it's Aaron Rodgers' redemption week as well. So yeah, I think you've concluded that pretty well, Bish. Because well, if he's put it this way, if it's not his redemption week, we'll be betting on Jordan Love next week. I think. I
Yeah,
put all my money on Justin on Jordan Love to Sonata.
definitely.
Yeah, so we've got the next one. I think we're all on Packers, pretty confident. He's amazing, Aaron Rodgers. The next one, Washington Commanders versus the New York Giants. Two teams that are probably surprised, would you say, Bish?
Yeah, I think Giants have started the season really well, and sort of now they're a bit unraveling a little bit. And flip side on the Commanders, they're on fire at the minute. They've won 6 of the last 7, 3 in a row, and it's another huge divisional game. They're both currently sitting in the playoff spots, and it's a unique situation. They play each other this week, and then they have the Commanders have a bye week, and then they play the Giants again. So they're playing for the Commanders. They're playing the Giants back to back here, and if whoever wins this game gets the tiebreaker, will have the tiebreaker of wins against, which could be massive come the playoffs. So it's a big game. Washington Commanders, as I've spoke about, I've been big on them the last few weeks. The D's really good. End zone touchdown to win the game. Sorry, an end zone interception to win the game last week against the Falcons. And the Giants, one of the one bets that did come in, the Thanksgiving one with Slayton. They've not really got many wide receivers out there. They like to run the ball with Barkley, but the Commanders, I think they're a top 8 defense against the run, so that's going to be tricky for them. And I just think the Commanders will have it. I think it's -2.5. I think the spread it's pretty tight, that one. But if I was leaning one way, I'd go with Commanders.
Yeah, it's -2.5 for Commanders. Yeah, you got it right. -2.5 for Commanders, +2.5 for Giants, and the over/under Bish is actually 40.5. It's right in that middle road.
Yeah,
it's a
pretty
tough
low.
one. I think. Yeah, both. I've got the Commanders on this one, and this is I always chuck a bit of a wild double in there, Bish. I've actually got the Commanders -2.5, and then I checked Daniel Jones's stat prop for passing and rush, and it's 234, and I can't see that happening. I don't think he's through over two. I think he's thrown over 200 yards once this season. If I'm not. I think when I checked, it was once or maybe twice this whole season. I think they're going to try run with Saquon. I think that who was his name? Chase Young's back. I've got the Commanders all over this one. You've convinced me over the last couple of weeks, Fish. I've got Commanders on this one. I think Daniel Jones. I think I've got that's my fun one for the day that we can all follow when watching Red Zone. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I like it. I like the way you've stayed away from Dodson this week.
Bish, it's redemption week. We're playing it safe. We're playing it safe, even though I've got time. Next game, Bish, we've got let's fly through Denver Broncos versus the Baltimore Ravens. The biggest over and under of the biggest handicap of the week. Denver Broncos +8.5. Obviously, Baltimore -8.5, and the over under is 39.5. How was that for you? Take me through this one, Bish.
Yeah, I think just before I even did any looking at that one, this one just had unders all over it to me. But just doing some digging, and Broncos' last 3 games, they've actually covered the handicap, a +8.5 handicap. So they're losing games, but they're tight games. And we've spoke about their team. The D's really good, ranked 3rd in the league in terms of points conceded, but their attack is dead last. And we've seen from the Ravens, the Ravens are struggling. A loss last week against the Jaguars, and 2 ugly wins. With the weeks before that we've covered before. So the offense is really struggling, and I just seeing it being a bit of a turgid game. Not much, maybe a I don't know, a low scoring game really. Maybe Ravens can get to the 20-point mark, but I don't think Broncos will be anywhere near that. So for me, it's the unders here.
It's a big call at 39.5. I do agree it's going to be low scoring, but it's a pretty low over under, isn't it? That Bish, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, it is low, but if you look at the Broncos, they don't score any points.
Yeah, so I've got this one, Bish. I've got actually an interesting one for this one. I checked Lamar Jackson's rushing yards, what they think it's going to be, and it's at 62.5. And I just Broncos have got that good pass defense. Obviously, as Scott Tack and his touchdown treble normally tell us, Pat's at PS2, he calls him. PS2 has been absolutely fantastic. It did get cut twice last week, though. But PS2 has been fantastic. The whole defense as a whole has been, like you said, fantastic. So I think that means Lamar Jackson will have to run. I think his throwers, he's not got a number one wide receiver. He's probably not even got a number two wide receiver. He's got DeMarcus Robinson and Devin Duvernay. They should be your third, fourth best wide receiver on a team. Apologies, lads, if you're million chance you're watching, but you're third, fourth best wide receiver on the team. So they've got Mark Andrews, but I think all of the defense will just concentrate on Mark Andrews. But there's one thing on that offense you cannot stop, and that is Lamar Jackson's feet. And that's why I think he's going to have to, there'll be nothing available. He's just going to set off running time and time again. So I'm going the over on 62.5 Lamar Jackson. What do you think, Bish?
Yeah, nice. Well, what we saw from last week when we had Tag on, we saw Foreman from the Panthers just making yards, running. So, I think they are a bit skeptical against the run, and obviously Lamar, you got Gus, but ultimately Lamar, if he breaks one, he could get half of that in one play. So it won't take him long to get that if he gets the room.
Brilliant, I'm on it, Bish. I think that might be one. That's redemption week. That's 1 out of 3 for me. I think on the redemption week. We've got Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Detroit Lions. It's a really boring handicap on this one, -1 +1. So it's pretty much the money line, as they say. But the interesting one, if you dare to have a go at it, is the over/under is 51 in this game, Bish. So I think that's an appetising number either way. Take me through your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, they were my thoughts there. I think in terms of the handicap, I think you're best off just whichever one you think. I think just taking it from scratch, taking the money line. Yeah. Like you said, they've got it as a tight game. It's a tough one. If I'm going to lean one way, I'm going to lean the Lions just because of how they've been going. Really, they've been in some good form. 1-3 on the bounce before Thanksgiving. Lost to lost a close game to the Buffalo Bills. And the Jaguars they've been a bit of a funny side. They produce a good game every so often, and I think that was last week. I think Trevor Lawrence came back from a 9-point deficit to win the game. They scored with 14 seconds to go, and then they rolled the dice. They went for the 2-point play. They didn't rely on overtime. They went for it and got it. So that's a big win for them. So Lions, 3 out of the last 5 Lions they've covered that 49 spread in terms of games, and that's the way I see it going. I think if the Jags are going to come close, they've got to score points. I think they've both got to score points. So, but for me, my bet out of this one, I think this is one of my my best bets. It's Jamal Williams anytime touchdown scorer. Yeah, he leads the lead with 14 rushing touchdowns. He's scored in 7 out of 11 games. So he's in good form, and I'm predicting points, so I think they're going to be on the goal line, and hopefully you can walk one in from a few yards out.
Yeah, brilliant one. To be fair, Bish, I can't, like you said, you probably can't see him stopping that 14 touchdown this game, can you? Both are struggling. Both are struggling. But as you said, Detroit on offense doing fantastic, amazing to watch. Probably get more highlights on Red Zone than than probably any other team, don't they? So yeah, brilliant. I've got a fun one for you, Bish, actually. Let me explain myself, and you can say I'm an idiot afterwards. I've got Darrell Henderson to score a touchdown in this game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think you saw that, obviously, Travis Etienne's injured for the season now, Billy. Is it the season, or is it a couple of weeks? But I think he's out for a while. But it's a while in it. So you've got then, as we saw on Red Zone last week, Jermichael Hasty come out of nowhere and run tremendously. To be fair to him, run for his career, because they've signed Henderson. His career was probably on the line, a bit harsh, but it probably was on the line. But I believe in Darrell Henderson as a runner. I think he's brilliant. I liked him at the Rams. This is where you might call me an idiot, because you watch the Rams a whole lot more than I do. But I thought I like him. He's got an incredible knack of getting a touchdown. He's one of them players that just seems to get a touchdown, even if he is having a bad day. And I think he's going to take over that number one spot now for the rest of the season. The odds on him are quite good. I need to double check what they were, so I won't quote it exactly. But I think Darrell Henderson to get a touchdown in this game, especially with how bad that Detroit Lions rush defense is.
Yeah, it's a bold one. It's a bold one. I'm not too sure on Etienne. I just double check that, but Henderson I think he's a decent running back. At Rams, it was just a case of 3-2. Obviously, Kyren Williams had a big season, a big preseason as a rookie, and looks like he was going to be involved. And with Cam Akers already there, they tried to ship him out, no takers. So I think it was a case of they had 3, they were trying to get it down to 2, and just Henderson was the man to unfortunately get the boot.
Well, I think Henderson, a bit of insight into it. I think Henderson's contract was running out at the end of the season, so I think they're going to lose him anyway. So I think I've heard a few tweets. I did some research because it didn't make sense to me why they'd put Henderson over Akers when obviously they reportedly aren't getting along very well with Akers. It didn't make sense. So I did some research, and apparently I think it's more on the lines of fair play tennis. I think he did a tweet basically saying, no, we're all good. I think they've let him go out to prove himself for the rest of the year to get himself a new contract for next year. I think the Rams have been very fair to him, and I think he's going to take his opportunity now with Jacksonville and earn himself a good contract, maybe a starting role for next year. So, Darrell Henderson touchdown.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, if we're watching Red Zone, Bish, and you think I'm an idiot, say it outright. I do not mind, because that's one of my braver ones. We've got Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Again, -1, +1, +1 for the Falcons, -1 for Pittsburgh. The over-under is 42 on this game, Bish. I think that's teasing me a bit, but I'll get your thoughts first.
I've got an interesting one for you here. Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Steelers, he's had 15 straight winning seasons. So they've won more games than they've lost for 15 straight years. So
Wow.
He's got a bit of work to do this season. He's 4-7 this year, so they've got some catching up to do. But they seem to Kenny Pickett and the wide receiver Pickens seem to be forming a little bit of a connection there and coming together. I think Najee Harris, the running back, I think he's got an abdominal injury, so I'm not too sure if he's a go this week. And then the Falcons, I think we spoke about last week, low on wide receivers with Kyle Pitts on IR, and they've got Patterson running routes out there. But funnily enough, that they're actually still in contention for the NFC South. The level on wins with Tampa Bay. They're just behind them on. They've played more games. They've not had the bye week yet, so they're still in the running to get in the playoffs. So it's a big game for them. But for me, I've got an interesting little bet here for you. So the Steelers are the second best team in terms of interceptions. They've had 13 on the season. And Marcus Mariota has thrown 8 interceptions so far this season in 12 games. A couple of games, he's had 2 interceptions in one game, so that's padded it a little bit. But Marcus Mariota over 0.5 interceptions is 2 to 4. Sorry, not 2 to 4. It's 2.4 decimals. So that's a little one for you. It's a tough. In terms of picking a winner, I'd probably lean Steelers, but yeah, I think it'll be a close one.
Yeah, I think that's, by the way, that's best researched stats of the day. So if that lands, Bish, round of applause. I think but by the sounds of it, it will land. Fantastic. Yeah, I hope the viewers are on that one. I've literally, as you were writing, I wrote it down myself because I'm on my phone straight after this video to get that on myself because that seems too good to be true. But yeah, similar with you, I've been back and forth on this twice. I was doing all my Atlanta research, still in the playoffs, like I said, Tampa Bay, the rush in defense with rushing attack with Cordarrelle, Tyler Algier, Caleb Huntley. They've been a three-pronged attack, and obviously along with Mariota as well, also being a running quarterback, really. So they were brilliant. So I had them winning at first, Bish, to be honest. But then I've looked at Steelers. Steelers can still make the playoffs, I think, if they get lucky. And I think Kenny Pickett's getting into his zone. I think it's going to be one of the case of a rookie coming in and having a very good end of the season to finish off. Like you said, I don't want to say the Steelers because I think it all depends whether, like you said, whether Najee Harris comes in or not, because at the moment it's still, I think it's 50-50. I checked literally right before this video, and he didn't train yesterday, but they haven't announced whether he's trained today or not as of this recording. Please check. If I'll put this down. If he has trained and if he is playing, I'm taking Pittsburgh at that -1 line all day long. If he isn't playing, I'm taking Atlanta all day long. So get your news on Twitter, and if you're following what I say, if Najee Harris is out, get on Atlanta. If he's in, get on Pittsburgh. Risky one again, Bish, for me. I think I've said I'm going safe, and I've chucked about 8 risky ones in every game.
Yeah, well, it's another one of those. Well, it's a 1 point in it either way, so it's obviously it's neck and neck. And I'm just like you said, the Falcons run the ball. You know, they've got different people to do that. They do it pretty well, but I just like the Steelers. And just going back to that record, I just think they'll try and, you know, it's that mentality within the organization of winning, of being winners. So I think, you know, they might finish strong and see this one out. But yeah, I expect it to be a close one.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, with the handicap, yeah, I think they've got it probably spot on at the moment. But final game, Bish, we've made it. Final game. 8 out of 8, Cleveland Browns versus the Houston Texans. Again, a massive handicap on this one. Cleveland Browns, last I checked, were -7. Houston Texans +7. The over-under on this game is 47.5. I'll preface it before you. It's the Deshaun Watson game. A lot of controversy behind his name, but he's back in the league after a year and a half out. What can you expect from him, Bish?
Honestly, I don't think a lot, to be honest. You know, he's bound to be rusty. Like you said, it's well over a year and a half since he's last played a game. A lot going on, going back to Houston Texans. So yeah, but one thing that the Browns do well is they run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Which will keep things, I think, very simple for him and for them. Hand it off to Chubb. Let him do his stuff on the ground. One thing I'm interested in is Kareem Hunt. He's not really been involved this year that much, and I think he's a very good running back. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets involved. Most would say a passing down running back. So obviously now with Deshaun Watson, who was, I'd say, a top 5 quarterback. When he was last on the field, that they should not only be a one-dimensional team, but have threats in both the passing and running as well. Texans, I think arguably they're one of the worst teams at the minute. We saw them got blown away last week. They've lost the last six actually, which it's not great. And the 32nd against the run. So as I've just said there, Nick Chubb, I think he'll be running all day long, and that's another one of my picks here. It's a big number. Nick Chubb over 91.5 rushing yards. He's actually cleared 100 yards 6 times this season. And he hit 116 last week, although it was in overtime. So that obviously that adds a bit onto the game. But so it's a big number. But I can't really see, even with everything going on in terms of the Deshaun Watson, I just think the Cleveland Browns are just too good for Texans here. Even if Texans rally around and try and give it a big one in terms of being at home and Deshaun Watson coming back, I just don't think they're good enough. So for me, I'd probably lean Browns -7 as well. But for me, that one of my best bets is Nick Chubb over 91.5 rushing yards.
Like it, Bish. We've got Kyle Allen still quarterbacking for the Houston Texans. Obviously, they changed last week, didn't they? They've got JoeMe and Bish, who's had 2 very rough games, I think averaging under 40 rushing yards in both games. But the Cleveland Browns aren't the best rushing defense. I think it's just going to be a rushing game all along. Like you said, I saw it the same as you. I think they're going to hand it off 50. I think Deshaun Watson's going to hand it off 50 times to Chubb, a bit of Kareem Hunt, get comfortable with his surroundings, make some reads as he's dropping it off on the run, have a look what they're doing, get the field back. So I've not got anything, Bish, and this is a total fence-sitting view of me, and it's very unlikely. I've not got anything because Nick Chubb, the one counter I've got to you, and I think it's going to be that last week might be haunting me, Bish. So correct me if counteract me here, please. But I could see the same thing happening like in the Miami game, where if Cleveland start off really hot, get 2 or 3 touchdowns, I think they could just give it to Deshaun, let him play about a bit, let him get comfortable. I don't know if he'll hit that because they might get 14-21 ahead, and then he's stuck on 6. I could see him getting stuck on 70 yards, 80 yards, and just being under that. So I'm not brave enough to pick that 91, and I'm not comfortable enough to be confident in Deshaun Watson. So I'm staying away from it. Sorry, Mitch.
Fair play. I think I'll counter that. I'll counter your counter, and I'd just say,
please.
Oh, I lost you there for a minute. But yeah, I'd just say Chubb.
Oh no, you're No, you go, Bish. You go. I think we've got connection issues. I think the Wi-Fi is cutting out. But you go.
No, I'd just say in terms of this, I just think Miami. Yeah, looking at hindsight, they have got a lot of weapons elsewhere, and they did throw the ball about. Here, I just think the primary focus is to run the ball. I think they'll do it early. They'll do it often. And like you said, if they do get into a lead, I still think that's the go-to. It's my famous last words. That there is a chance that obviously they'll open it up. Deshaun Watson will sort of try and hit his targets out there. You've got Amari Cooper, obviously, but it's an away game, so let's not count on him. But you've got Donovan.
Yeah, forgot to mention.
But yeah, it is a big number. I agree, but I'm riding him home.
Brilliant. All right, we've covered all 8 games. Hope you've got a bit of information, viewers, on everything that we've been through. But right now, it's the weekly interval. Oh, it's Tag's touchdown treble. Let's go. We've got the sign. Let's get it on. Bish, give us the touchdown treble.
So this week, Tag's touchdown treble from the red zone 6 o'clock window. He's gone with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Damian Pierce, and Miles Sanders. And that comes in at just over 9-1, I believe. So we'll be cheering that in as well, hopefully.
Come on, Tag. What are you? I think are you 1 out? He got 2 out of 3, then 1 out. Then 0 out of 3. So he's 2 out of 6 on any touchdown at the moment. So Tag, it's a big week. It's redemption week for Tag as well.
Yeah, it's a big week, but I think obviously with those odds, you just need to hit 1 and it'll ease the pressure a little bit. So hopefully it can be this week. Like you said, it's a redemption week for all of us this week. So we're coming hard.
Yeah. So now, Bish, give us your best bets.
I love it. So my first one, probably my most confident one is the Packers -3.5, Green Bay Packers. Just from what I've said, I think I'm riding Aaron Rodgers and him owning the Chicago Bears here. So that's number 1. Number 2, I'm going with Nick Chubb over 91.5 rushing yards. And number 3 is Jamal Williams, anytime touchdown scorer.
Brilliant, Bish. Bish's best bets. Come on, Bish. 3 out of 3 this week. I've got a good feeling. It's redemption week we're on, and we've got JoeMe the money. I'll get you the money this week because my 3, I've got Derrick Henry over 84.5 rushing yards. I think it's nailed on. They don't have to run. Philadelphia are brilliant at the pass. Let Derrick Henry do his thing. I've got my fancy. I always chuck in a more complicated one than it's worth. I've got Washington Commanders -2.5, doubling with Daniel Jones under 234 pass and rushing yards combined. So if you go down and check the things, it's pass and rushing yards combined. You'll see his name around 234, and I'm clicking that under all day long. Then my final one, Bish, I've got to have Lamar Jackson over 62.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to have to run on them. The brilliant Broncos defense. I don't think they've got the wide receivers to counter the defense. So I think Lamar's going to have to run. And you can't stop Lamar running, in my opinion. So there you go. What's your concluding thoughts, Bish? I've got now. I've got 9. What have you got?
We're big on the rushing yards this week, aren't we? So yeah, I'm coming in at 4 and 9, but in my defence, I've had 2 winning weeks. So it was just last week that hurt me massively. But we're trying to get back to a full house this week, and hopefully, wouldn't it be nice to get 9 out of 9 for all of us?
It would. I think 9 out of 9 will be spectacular. The pints will be on, Bish. You might have to sleep over, whatever, because we'll be 8 pints, 9 pints deep if that goes on. It's all on. But then the question to the viewers is, if it pops up, give us your red zone bets in the comments. Let us know. We'll get on yours. Hopefully you get on ours, and we can all have a fantastic Sunday watching Red Zone. Bish, I'll conclude with this. You're off to America soon, aren't you? Enjoy America, pal. Hopefully we have a brilliant Sunday. You're not sleeping over. You're not here on Sunday, are you? We're not doing it because you are in America. No wonder you. We've got Bish is in America, everyone, from Sunday. So wish him luck. He's at the games. we're going to force him to do some footage and give us a bit of an insight what it's like to be at a game. And hopefully we can give you all a nice taste of it all. Bish, finish us
looking
off.
forward to that. Looking forward to that. I'm actually at a wedding this Sunday, and I'm in America next week, so it's the next 2 Sundays. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm googling camera sticks so I can get out and about and do some filming. So yeah, so hopefully I should have some content. Like I said, we'll be at the Rams game Thursday night, and we'll be at the Rams Raiders, and then we'll be at a big one I'm looking forward to be honest, with me my brother supporting the Eagles. We're off to New York to watch them against the Giants, so a big divisional game, and hopefully it'll have a lot riding on it, so should be a good trip, and hopefully I'll get some footage, and be good to be back and back on the sofa with you boys.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, thank you again, Bish. Hopefully we nail it. We'll be tweeting out everything. Any final thoughts, please follow us both on Instagram. I'm at on Twitter. Sorry, I'm on SMTMUK. Joe, Bish, what are you?
I believe my Twitter's Ben Jones Bishop, but I'm more. My Instagram is B Jones Bishop as well. So yeah, like I said, get in there, get the questions in. Any people you want to see on the show from the rugby league community, just get the questions in, and yeah, let's interact.
Brilliant. See you next week, guys. Let's go. 9 out of 9 redemption week. Let's have it one more time.